Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not a pilot, nor do I ever aspire to be, but I would say for the record that my mama actually flew an airplane during the Second World War. I'm very proud of her. She was an incredible lady. And if she were to walk in right now, I would probably think I was in trouble for something, which I probably would have been. But anyway, I know we have 17 critical air traffic control systems that are classified as unsustainable. And we've got a timeline for replacement somewhere between 6 to 13 years. And what is the FAA doing to prioritize and mitigate the risks during that period of time? We can just go down the line real quick. I only got 5 minutes and I'm not gonna give a speech.
Yeah, I think that what you're citing is the operational risk assessment. In certain cases, they have developed modernization investments for those, but there were some additional systems that needed plans.
Congressman, I think the answer is not enough. We're so far behind on so many of these systems. I think the question for all of us and for this committee is based on the FAA reauthorization bill of last year and what we now know needs to be further done. How do we expedite it? How do we make action happen?
Congressman, during the last administration, FAA Administrator Whitaker started to put out a plan called NAS 2040, trying to say what's the vision going to be like 15 years from now. And before it even got started, we in industry asked, okay, has there been a study about how many facilities we really need, which then would set your modernization priorities out there. And again, we don't have to do it tomorrow. We would have a logical plan. It just never got going. It just keeps getting stalled. And that's why we hope that with what you told the FAA to do, working with us in industry, we can collectively come up with a plan, present it to you, the Congress, and say, okay, can we get going and execute?
Congressman, I'll be brief. Thank you for the question. We remain committed to working with the FAA on these priorities, and I believe we align on most of them. Telecommunications being the number one, NOTAMs being the number two. Both of those can take down the entire national airspace system. Our information display systems that need updated so that way we can have more heads-up time talking to aircraft. And then our radar and surveillance, as you noted earlier, was the Surface Awareness Initiative or higher. Those things are, if we prioritize and focus, we can make some actual progress with this committee.
Congressman, thank you for the question. At this point right now, of those systems that we're talking about, the soonest implementation we would see of any of them is 2030, and many of them right now have no investment whatsoever. So we're at the moment still waiting.
Thank you, Congressman. 92% of the F&E budget that the FAA gets is spent on the legacy system, the antiquated system from the 1980s and 1990s.
Say that again, how much?
92% of their F&E budget is spent on that. 8% is spent on modernization. So given the fact that their procurement process and their acquisition management system is broken, they're not doing a lot to modernize this system at this time.
We'll start at this end and go the other way. But are the legacy systems more susceptible to cybersecurity threats? And I'm wondering because sometimes we find out that they're so antiquated that nobody has the ability to crack into them. It's kind of like when we thought we'd get a MiG jet during the Korean War, and we got one, and it turned out it was just a tin tube with actually, it was tube types, and I mean, it was pretty antiquated. Go ahead.
The legacy system is very antiquated. And that's one of the main reasons why modernization is so hard, because if you take a modern piece of equipment and try to bring it into the national airspace system, you have to dumb it down so we can deal with this legacy equipment. We experienced that when we put the en route modernization project together. We actually had to make it parallel the host computer so that we can roll it across the country.
Mr. Spiro.
Some of the legacy systems that we're talking about out there right now are dependent, the changes are going to be dependent upon the new fiber, the new Federal Enterprise Network System, FENS, and the implementation of that. That is some of the backbone that Mr. Rinaldi's talking about that has to be interfaced. But many of these legacy systems right now they're operational, but we can't sustain the parts for them anymore, and that's the big problem.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm out of time.